Okay, what's going on, guys? I know it's been a couple of years since I posted my mock draft. The last one I did was in 2022, but wanted to get back into it. So, looking at the draft order officially being set in the top 10, all the way for the teams that have not been in the playoffs, a lot of changes have taken place in the last couple of weeks. I think it'd be a perfect time to start getting back into the mock drafts every couple of weeks, and keeping up with draft info because this is something that I really love doing and enjoy. So starting this out with the Tennessee Titans surprisingly losing, getting the first number one pick after the Patriots win over the Bills backups. This is something obviously they're going to be taking quarterback. It's either going to be Shador Sanders or Cameron Ward. Um, Something that these usually aren't worth the first overall pick, but I think with looking at the draft odds after the Titans get it, if you look at the betting odds, Cam Ward is the heavy favorite. So I think the Titans, honestly, in my opinion, Cam Ward's the best quarterback, and I think that they're going to be going Cam Ward. Now, the Cleveland Browns are an interesting pick here because a lot of people have him going quarterback. I think with the Deshaun Watson contract, I think that they're just going to wait till next year and a more QB friendly draft. I think that they're just going to go best player on the board here and look at Travis Hunter as just an all around player. Some people think Abdul Carter can be a good pick here. I think that'd be great to put him opposite of Myles Garrett. And who knows what Myles Garrett's future is going to be? He needs the extension as well. But I think that they're just going to go with the best overall player on the board and then go Travis Hunter, get that mainly as a cornerback, but also using him as a certain receiver in situations. Giants, I think that they're also going to try to go with their quarterback. You've seen Shador with the Giants cleats, even though he played like garbage after he put them on. I think that they're going to try to find their quarterback and go Sanders. The Patriots are an interesting spot. They lose their first overall pick. In this situation, they don't get the best player on the board and Travis Hunter, who they probably would have taken. I think here they need tons of weapons. They need O-line as well. But none of the tackles. Maybe Will Campbell goes here. I don't think Kelvin Banks goes with the Patriots as well. I think that they go with the weapon and go Tet McMillan, one of the best playmakers in the draft, one of the best receivers, put up crazy numbers in college at Arizona. The Jaguars here is an interesting spot. I think the main thing to look at here, Peterson just got fired. But I think the big thing to look at here is that they kept their GM Trent Baalke. So Trent Baalke is always one of these guys that goes with more of the freak athletes and develops their and doesn't really matter how raw they are, really. So he's gonna look at the freak athlete. I think he's gonna take a shocking one here. I think he would go Kelvin Banks because they need a tackle. Kelvin Banks is one of the more freakier athletes at O-line here. Will Campbell, is he a guard? Is he a tackle? He's kind of got shorter arms in the combine. We'll kind of see that, even though he's put up crazy um, numbers at LSU. I think Trent Baalke falls in love with the freakiness of Kelvin Banks. Vegas here, they could go a couple ways. I don't think they go Abdul Carter. I think he starts falling here. They just took Tyree Wilson a couple years ago, put him opposite Max Crosby. Um, they don't necessarily need. I think after they just signed Christian Wilkins, they don't necessarily need D line. So I think that they go and shore up their secondary, get one of the best lockdown corners in the draft, try to get the best defense on all three levels, and go Will Johnson. The Jets are going to take one of four players. So you're either going to take Will Johnson, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, or Will Campbell. I think Mason Graham is the top need for the Jets. The biggest part is they lost John Franklin Myers whenever they traded him away. The defense just went totally downhill. They got ran on all year. The pass rush was eh. Quentin Williams kind of came back, but I think the best thing is to put Mason Graham on here opposite right next to Quentin Williams on the inside and shore up that defense line and bring that John Franklin Myers element back kind of into it and make them kind of an elite defense again. I think if Mason Graham's not there, the next pick is Abdul Carter. So that would be the two Jets options there. I think the Panthers, after trading away Brian Burns, I think that they're going to be looking for their edge rusher, get a Micah Parsons type build, and Abdul Carter might be one of the best players in the draft. Um, I would love for the Jets to take him, but if Mason Graham is on the board, I think Mason Graham goes there, leading to the Panthers getting the best player falling just pretty much in their lap. The Saints here, The Saints need O-line. Trevor Penning's been abysmal. He's been terrible. He's had his good games, but it's been mostly rough stuff. I think it's time to move on from him. I think they start to go Will Campbell, one of the best safe options in the draft. Could play guard, could play tackle. Now that's gonna hurt the Bears because they were wanting to get either Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell, one of those guys. I think Will Campbell's the best offensive lineman in the draft, but the Jaguars just fall in love with the freakiness of Kelvin Banks. I think this is the prime, most obvious trade down situation. So this is gonna be the only trade I do in this draft for now. I think that Chicago would want to trade down with one of the teams that needs an edge rusher. And I think they have a certain offensive lineman in mind because their interior is so bad and want to help Caleb Williams. So I think the Cincinnati Bengals want to put somebody opposite of Trey Henderson after a defense that was awful last year. And I think I'm not going to go too much into the trade details. They could probably be like a first swap, second, and maybe like a fifth round pick for them to trade up. Chicago falls back, they get extra picks. The Bengals here, I think they're gonna want to go for Michael Williams. He's kind of like a raw prospect. Kind of reminds me of Trayvon Walker. Very freak athlete, but needs to have his tools refined to be able to be an effective pass rusher. The 49ers, they're struggling. They need either trenches, offensive line, or defensive line. So I think that's gonna be the two picks. If there's a tackle here that they want, I could see him going Josh Simmons. I could see him going with another tackle like Ursure. But I think that they stick and they kind of go edge rusher. James Pierce was one of the freak athletes that was looked at the beginning of the year. He was seen almost as the first pick, kind of fell off a little bit. But I think that they're going to go here and go with the safe option and go James Pierce. Dallas Cowboys. This is one of the easiest ones that's been mocked. I think they either go one of two ways. They go Luther Burton or they go Genty. Although Luther Burton is kind of seen as similar to CeeDee Lamb, how teams would use him. Similar type receiver. So I think this is the most obvious one. Cowboys need a running back. Genty sitting right there. Take a running back. Miami Dolphins, I think we're gonna look for D-line. They want to get their Christian Wilkins replacement. Lost in our free agency. Defense wasn't very good, so they're gonna look for the D-line, and they're gonna go with the Oregon prospect Derek Harmon. He's a great pass rusher on the inside. He can get to the quarterback. I think it would be a great Christian Wilkins replacement after they lose him and see that need. This is kind of like another one with the Cowboys. Colts, they need secondary, they need safety. Might as well best player on the board to safety. Fits pretty well. Malachi Starks. The Falcons looking here, I think that they could see Luther Burton falling a little bit to him. Be like, this could be a great compliment to Drake London on the other side. Use him in the slot. You got your big body guy in Drake London. Might as well get your speedy kind of slot guy, kind of like a CeeDee Lamb. But I think they also need D-line and edge rusher. And I think they see Nick Scorington kind of as one of the top guys too. That was seen before the years, kind of fell down a little bit. I think they could see him and get their edge rusher here. So that leaves the Cardinals, who also need edge rusher linebacker. I think kind of like a Savin Collins build, edge rusher slash linebacker. It would be Jalen Walker would be a great fit here. But I think that they just look at it, take best player available, get the complementary piece after trading Rondell Moore, somebody that could work in the slot like a Luther Burton, and go great with Marvin Harrison Jr. The Bears here, the Bears traded back in that situation. Bengals trade up to go get their guy. I think the Bears are looking for interior offensive line. And when they're looking for interior offensive line, they have their tackles. They had Braxton Jones, who was actually hurt a lot this year. They had Darnell Wright on the other side, who actually played very well. I think they're looking for their interior guy, and they're going to go somebody that I think can rise up the board a lot and was a 3-year starter at Alabama, Tyler Booker. The Seahawks are another situation. Jalen Walker could be a good fit because he kind of reminds me of a Jordan Brooks. They could go Josh Simmons. That's falling a little bit here. It's been rising up some boards. But I do think that they're going to go Jalen Walker because Pete Carroll's still in there. I know he's looking for certain head coaching jobs. McDonald is a great defensive coach from Michigan, from the Harbaugh tree. So I think that they're going to go Jalen Walker. Gives them a kind of a Jordan Brooks type role. The Houston Texans, they're going to be looking for D-line or they're going to be looking for offensive tackle. I know they could be looking for interior. I know Kenyon Green hasn't really worked out for him. He's been kind of struggling. I think that just kind of puts one of the top tackles that's fallen into their lap here on their team. So I think that they're just going to take Josh Simmons, who's going to be a really good tackle. It's been rising up the boards the last couple weeks. Denver Broncos, they need tight end after they traded away Noah Fant a couple years ago. They haven't really found that replacement. Might as well take one of the guys that everybody sees as the top tight end in this class and kind of getting compared to Brock Bowers, even though he has had a historical season. I think that they could go Tyler Warren as the best tight end on the board. Buccaneers, mostly everybody needs edge. Defensive line, I think a great compliment to Vita Vea would be somebody like a Kenneth Grant, a Walter Nolan, somebody like that, whichever one that they prefer. In this case, I think that they would prefer a Walter Nolan next to Vita Vea. Even though I think Kenneth Grant is the better player, I think the Bucks could fall in love with a Walter Nolan. Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that they're still looking for the receiver. George Pickens has been, acting weird. He's been making comments in the media, and I think that they could look for somebody to either replace him or go next to him. I think Emeka Ibuka falling into their laps would be a good little pick to go and complement with the receiving core, whether they keep Wilson or Fields or move on from either one of them. Rams, their tackles are going to be going into a situation. You got Note Bloom, who's going to be a free agent, and they're definitely going to be needing a new offensive line. Ever since Whitworth retired, they've been looking for the tackle. I think Irsay is a great fit. Huge tackle, huge guy, great footwork. I think he's going to be a good pick there. The Packers you got going on here, they need corner. One of the best corners on the board. One hasn't been taken, falls right into your lap. Go with ECU's reveal. A lot of people thought that they'd take Cooper DeJean last year. They passed on him, and I think this is the time to be able to take that cornerback. This one seems pretty simple to me too. Jim Harbaugh, former Michigan guy, former head coach, won national championship, wants grit. Might as well go and get one of his former Michigan players. Loveland need a tight end. Tight ends on the board. Connections there. Might as well get them. I could see him going with a Kenneth Grant there, but I think tight end's the bigger need for him, so they're gonna go in that way. Looking at this, the Commanders is a very interesting spot. They need a receiver, they need edge, they need D line. I think looking at this, they still have Payne. They traded away Sweat. I think they're gonna be looking for that replacement in a very edge heavy class. I think Landon Jackson is gonna be a good fit there. The Ravens, looking at this, I think their biggest struggle all year has been tackle. They really need a tackle to go along. We see at the very beginning of the year, their offensive line just pretty much got abused. Luckily, they had Derrick Henry, so then they can run the ball. Lamar's been fabulous, almost MVP candidate up there with Josh Allen. I think that they go help the offensive line, try to get better in that way, get Karen Williams here. Um, both them Texas tackles have been great all year. So you still got Kenneth Grant here. Although you also have the corner, Benjamin Morris. I think that's where the Vikings are going to go. They kind of see if they lose Flores, if they keep Flores. That defense has been amazing, especially that front seven. They definitely need to shore up the back end there. The Bills luckily fall into Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant, I think, can be one of the better defense linemen in this class. The Bills, the rich get richer at this point, and the Bills just way on the board, and he falls into their lap. The Eagles, they desperately need a linebacker edge. Still got Nakobe Dean there. They got the two Georgia defensive tackles, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter there. Jordan Davis, maybe he's out of shape every once in a while, but I think also too the edge after signing Bryce Huff away from the Jets, he's been very disappointing. So I think looking at it, I think that they could go Mike Green, who's was at Marshall, smaller school, but if you look at his stats, he had 17 sacks last season, which is crazy numbers in college football. And he's one of those guys that's just going to rise up boards throughout the combine. Once people start to realize his sacks on a Marshall. Chiefs also looking at offensive tackle, but I don't necessarily think that there's one on the board here in the first round to be able to take. Um, they could look to Jonah. keep Thuney outside, and then bring in the tackle or the interior lineman here from Arizona. But I think that they're going to be looking for Chris Jones, even though he just signed the replacement, get a guy that goes along with him and the inside, and go with Stewart here from Texas A&M. And then the Lions, they've been looking for somebody to go across from Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson just got hurt. He could be coming back for the conference championship game, but I think that they're still going to be looking for somebody to go opposite him. I think Jack Sawyer here is going to be from Ohio State. It's going to be a great pick to be able to go alongside Aiden Hutchinson once he comes back. So here's kind of the recap. I only did one trade because that was one of the glaring ones. The Bears need O-line, so why not move back and get a good interior offensive lineman? But here's kind of a recap of all the picks that I made. If you want to go back and look through, maybe you can't remember which team I put to where. Maybe you want to go back and look at your team. But I'm looking to do these more often, maybe once every week, maybe once every couple weeks, and do more videos on the NFL. So I'd really like it if you want to keep up with me, and follow along and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it and look forward to more videos that are coming out here in the near future. Thank you.